Well, I think seeing it all stemmed from kind of the Iraq War selling, when I saw the media kind of going across party lines and realizing that it wasn't just the Republican establishment, it wasn't just the Democratic establishment, it's the entire corporate establishment that perpetuates this system and keeps it continuous by lying and by protecting itself. And when I saw that going on during the run-up to the Iraq War, I became a really focused on anti-war activism. But through that, I saw that media was a huge problem, because I was just realizing that, you can only hand out so many flyers, but if you don't have some sort of medium to tell your message and counter the establishment bullshit, then no one's going to hear you. So I realized that I needed to get into media activism, and I guess coming from an activist roots, I never really saw any differentiation between how to be a professional journalist, and I actually didn't go to J school, which I know a lot of journalists go into the system, and they, when you are hammered so much about how to do journalism, you kind of forget how to do it. Yeah. It's just kind of like art school sometimes, where you're so regimented in how to do it, and it's really old school. And right now I think that we need a new media, a new wave of media that isn't regimented in that kind of that old school way of thinking. And I don't need to look at what the State Department's telling me or these press releases from the government to know that it's bullshit, and I don't need to present their alternative, like their voices when I give my alternative perspective. I just want to say, we all know what they're saying already, so we don't need to give that, like, you know what I mean, like the both sides of the issue. And so I just go out there full force and I just say exactly what I'm thinking, and I think it's really refreshing for people to see a journalist who actually cares and is just kind of going out balls to the wall. I think it's the biggest fight that we have is media, and what you guys are doing is crucial, because those are the actors that we're listening to tell us the news. Unfortunately, in the media revolution and the renaissance of citizen journalism, there's a lot of people who say, we just need to make the corporate media irrelevant, and that's true, and that's what we're doing now with building these alternatives. But the problem is, at least in America, 50% of Americans still watch the mainstream media and get their information from the mainstream. So there's only so much you can do to kind of try to change that opinion that's so ingrained with a lot of like the older generations. But I do think the younger generations are going to the internet, and I know that creation and new media content is the most important thing that we can do right now to change hearts and minds and to really perpetuate the revolution of consciousness. It's happening everywhere, but there is a problem online that we kind of, all these algorithms and stuff kind of seek to reaffirm our own biases, and we all have like different search engines that are catering our stories toward us. So we just need to be conscious of how we can still have an intake of multiple sources of information to find and formulate our own opinions, and not just keep going and validating what we already think and surrounding ourselves by people that are kind of yes men. So if we can just understand that that's happening and use the internet as a tool and a consensus building where we can reach out across different communities and people who have different opinions, but try to build that consensus while still using those alternative routes. What gives me hope is you guys. I mean, everyone here at the Zeitgeist movement, it's mind-blowing. I mean, all the people, it's like really emotional for people to come up and say that my show inspired them, and it's hard to live in DC and to be in like a studio where you're kind of enclosed and be surrounded by all these people who are like working within the system that I think is completely broken, and we can't even, you know what I mean? We can't waste our time trying to reform a system that's broken and outdated. So it's unbelievable to come outside of that bubble and to see how many people agree, how many people are already working to build their own. I mean, all of the incredible ecological transformations and technological advancements that are happening that the system just doesn't talk about because it challenges them too much. And that's what's so inspiring and motivating to me. And I just think we need to keep inspiring each other and sharing each other's messages and building each other up, because we just got to keep fighting, because we will win. We are winning. People get what's going on, and they just need the tools to figure out how they can be a part of it. Just don't give up. I know that it seems incredibly daunting. Everything completely fucked up. No matter where you look, it seems like there's nothing you can do, but there is. And I always tell people, I went the media route, but I think that whatever issue speaks to you the most, whether it be food, water, sweatshops, like the hydroponics that they were talking about and all like the agricultural revolution, that's what, just hone in on the issues that speak most to your soul And even if you're living in like some remote rural area, start a hub, start a blog, start a podcast, get on AM radio. I mean, all of these things that you can do, and go to meetup.com, because there's people who are like minds out there. As much as the establishment wants to phase out all critical thinking and alternatives, we exist and we are stronger than them, and our voices are way more powerful than those people who dictate our reality, and we need to change that reality by just creating our own, reaching out to the communities, reaching out to like minds, because we're all around. And the second that you start like meeting people in your area, they energize each other, you know, and you can inspire each other and realize, okay, you're awesome. I didn't even know that you were living right down the street. And I feel like we're so separated from people and isolated in our modern technological society that we don't even just talk to our neighbors and people like, you know, on the train and the subway and stuff, and just say, hey. And I just think that if people did that more, they would realize how much more we all have in common and how much we can all work together to really make the world a sustainable, better place.